This is a brief presentation about structured record keeping. We're going to discuss how to keep track of your data. This is simply a suggestion, a template, if you will, for progressing through this process. One thing I notice when I'm working with people is the wide variety of methods that people use to store their data, and sometimes it is a workable solution, and sometimes they spend a great deal of time searching through their folders on their computer to find the folder where they're keeping that particular client's record. This is a method for keeping all of this information in one place and keeping it in a structured form that increases your ability to find what you're looking for. So, first of all, location, as they say in real estate. Here's the suggested path. I suggest that you use one location for all client narrative, report, and other non-program related files. Not training session data that is within BioTrace or NeuroGuide, of course, but these are the client files, assessments, and other recorded data. If you keep this in one location and make frequent backups, it makes your life much easier. Depending on the number of recordings and assessment tools and other records you want to keep, I suggest that you use a large capacity flash drive. I'm currently using a 256 gigabyte flash drive, and prices for those have come down substantially. This allows you to back up to an external hard drive. It allows you to carry your data with you wherever you go, if you're working in multiple offices, or if you have a computer at home and a computer at your office and you want to have the files in both locations. It's a good solution. I know that other people have used a external hard drive for this purpose, and you can get a large 1 terabyte, 2 terabytes, 5 terabyte external hard drive if you like. These can even have flash memory if you want to pay the price for that. I would say that any drive that you use, no matter what format it is, what source, you want to be expecting that it's going to die, that it's going to crash, that you're going to lose all this data. So from that perspective, you want to back it up in multiple sources, and possibly even to fixed media such as a DVD disc, or multiple DVD discs if it's that big. Use a consistent labeling scheme. What I do is a folder within this flash drive, and the main drive is client files. The main client folder is client files, and inside that client files folder there is a folder for each client, and the label for that folder is the first initial of the first name, the first initial of the last name, and the date of birth. So for example, my initials and birth date would be JA120649, and this is the label for the folder. So far I haven't run across anybody who has exactly the same initials and date of birth. It's possible that I will run into that. The addition of the middle initial would probably eliminate that possibility, although you still may run into two individuals with exactly the same information. In that case, you could add an additional designator of some sort. Each client has a folder, and within each folder there may be additional folders, subfolders. For example, an initial QEEG report that contains all the relevant documents, a PDF file of the history, or a Word document, or some other type of document format, the head injury questionnaire, symptoms, anything that you have the client fill out. If you can scan that or have them do that in a digital format, that is helpful. Any EEG recordings that you have saved in whatever format they are collected in. And in that case, the individual files are labeled with the initial designator, the initials and birth date, and then an eyes condition designator. For example, eyes closed, eyes open, mental math, reading, other designators that you come up with. You could, in this same main folder of client files, you could have a master list of the various code words that you use to indicate the condition under which this client was EEG was recorded, possibly um, a sleep-deprived EEG or some other kind of designator. Processed edited NeuroGuide file labeled as above, but then of course it would have an NG extension. So each of these files will have an extension that's appropriate to the recording format or the saved format, whichever that might be. If you produce images, the topographic maps that NeuroGuide and other programs produce, I strongly recommend you have a separate image folder within this main folder and place your images in that and label it, for example, with the same designator but images at the end, because you're going to be generating somewhere around 200 to 300 bitmap files, and you're going to put those in there. If you put those in the main folder separately as individual files, it's going to overwhelm this folder and you won't be able to find anything else. So if you put it in a separate folder as images, then you can again designate each of those categories. So for example, eyes closed linked ears, eyes closed Laplacian, eyes open linked ears, and so on. Now, because you're using a letter number combination, it helps to improve client confidentiality. If you want to be even more confidential, you could have a substitution code of some sort. You could have a master list of your client codes and their separate designators that you use for all of your files. At some point, you're going to have to keep everything somewhere. I've experimented with password protected flash drives, and so far I haven't found one that works properly, or else it's so cumbersome that it's impossible to get into the file. If you're going to send reports, you want to use a secure file transfer service that allows you to put in a password. Alternatively, you can have everything in the documents that you send be completely anonymous using various codes and designators that are impossible to crack and associate with any particular client. If you come up with your own, just make sure that you document it and keep it in a safe place so that you can refer back to it and find what you've encoded. I don't recommend that you use regular email to send anything related to clients, client reports, client recordings. Anything that has personal information regarding the client should not be sent via regular email, as it is certainly vulnerable. Using encrypted files, sending client or other clinician a key via a separate means is a possibility. Word, for example, Microsoft Word allows you to password protect a file, and then you could send the password to the clinician or whoever you're sending it to by a different means. You could even call them on the phone and tell it to them verbally. You want to make sure you have good virus checking and protection, malware, spyware protection and checking software installed. It's useful to read reviews of virus checking software and don't just simply accept whatever comes with your computer. Sometimes those are minimally effective. Consult with multiple sources to determine what's the best protection software, because it changes from year to year, and something that was quite good in the past may be completely useless at this point. It might have been sold to another company and they didn't keep up with the quality, or multiple other factors could be involved. Make regular automatic backups of all the files. Create a file recovery disk for PC-based systems. If you're using a flash drive, maintain letter number codes because you might lose it or somebody might steal it, and they would just open it up and find your clients and have all sorts of personal information about these people that you don't want to get out, and your clients certainly don't want to get out. So keeping everything confidential is very useful. I don't recommend cloud storage at this point. Some people use it. I'm told that the security and reliability can be variable across different providers, and even the best provider can be hacked, as we've seen repeatedly that even the very best systems can be hacked. So here's the structure. Client EEG files, the folder, the individual client file with the designator, individual files as indicating their condition or their task orientation, and derived files or edited files, images folder separately, and there you have your file organization structure.